So hi, this is Teresa again with the Guardian Network, and I'm here with Julia with JAL Appraiser Lab.
JM Appraisal Lab.
Okay, and we're in Winter Park today, and we're going to talk now a little bit, this is sort of a second series, about the insurance issues with jewelry. I'm going to kind of tell a little story of one of my concerns with jewelry. So as a guardian for an elderly gal who has a very beautiful ring, and she wears it, and she's in an assisted living facility or a nursing home possibly. Jewelry is really at risk all the time. It's at risk for loss, for her taking it off and setting it on her tray, for it going in the trash. It's at loss. It's always at risk. If we don't have the value of the jewelry, then it's pretty hard to insure. But it's also hard to insure in those environments because if the client herself has questionable capacity, the insurance company may take the position that she cannot actually file a claim.
Correct.
Because she can't say, I know what happened to my ring because she has dementia. So one of the options in those circumstances, if you have a client who wears a very valuable piece, and let's assume that the stone is the primary value, one of your options is to have the stone changed out to something like the cubic zirconia kind of piece.
Correct.
It's a solution. It may not feel great, but if we're talking about a significant value in the stone versus the setting,
right,
that's one option, because the insurance option isn't necessarily going to work.
No, the insurance option is mostly if you're living home and your fully mental capacity is intact.
Okay.
Once a client has dementia or Alzheimer's, or they're in their elderly stage that they're not altogether, and they are put into a home. Once you go into a home, obviously that means you need some health or assistance. Fortunately, insurance is going to kick in and say, well, they're not fully capacity, their mental state wasn't all intact, and we will not cover, because, you know, she could have taken it off and put it in her bed in between the mattress and then thought she'd flush it down the toilet. We don't know.
Right.
And unfortunately, they won't know. When you start talking to them, they don't remember what's going on because they are already, you know, their mental state is not intact. So in those cases, I always suggest all my clients, if you have an elderly person that's maybe, losing part of their mental capacity, or if they're going into a home, is to try to remove all their real jewelry and put it into a safe deposit box, or other family members, or start, dividing it into that family while they're still functioning and mentally capacity, because once it goes into a trust, then you have siblings going to argue for that estate also. That's another issue that's very common. If there's a family of 3 or more, usually there's going to be that one sibling that's going to fight over, oh, I want grandma's ring, or I want mom's necklace. So I always recommend, while you're alive, try to give it and keep everything as safe as possible. If there is a problem with the jewelry, the woman, the person doesn't want to take it off, which is very common. They get very paranoid. They've worn it for 30, 40 years on their body. They don't want to take it off.
Right.
I do come in, I coach them. I try to explain that they need to keep this in a safe place and have a safe family member that they trust, and then give them some costume jewelry to wear. And that's usually the best way to deal with that situation. Yeah,
costume jewelry actually has worked really well for us and a lot of clients, especially someone who much of their life has worn a lot of jewelry. They kind of feel naked without it. So, but they may not be able to recognize the difference between, a $10 necklace and the $20,000 piece that they've worn for much of their life.
Right.
So we're often dealing with that and trying to both find the balance between the client's dignity and the client's emotional needs, but there's a fiduciary issue here, especially if you're a fiduciary in charge of that estate or that jewelry or that individual. You have an obligation to try to keep it safe. So Julia is a great resource to figure out, okay, first of all, what is the value? Is it insurable? Can we insure it under this circumstance, meaning inside an assisted living facility or inside a nursing home? That's often a problem. And if not, then what should we be doing? So that's some of the great options. Some other stuff I want to talk about is the box to sort. So often with Julia, she'll meet at our office, or we'll meet at her place, and we'll bring her a bag or a box or a shoe box or a drawer full of just, I have no clue what parts of it are valuable. So tell us what you do when I bring you that. What's your process?
Usually I will sort out. Most people that come to me, obviously most guardian care or attorneys, are not educated in jewelry, and the average person out there, I hate to say it, they just don't know.
I don't know
if it's gold, metal, that was from QVC or if it was purchased at Macy's. They don't know if it's real or not. So I normally get a large box of mishmash, and you know how people store stuff, especially I get a lot of people that were QVC or TV holics that just bought everything, real to non-real, and then they threw it in a box and they stored it. So what I do is I sort it out and I separate the real to the costume. So they already automatically, anything that's under $500, I put in a separate pile. I suggest not to appraise anything under $500. You're kind of wasting your money, because by the time you pay the deductible, why waste my time and my money, your money, for me to do that? So that's kind of what I try to help everyone out to do the best I can to save money and to evaluate everything, and that comes in a box. And I get all sorts. It can come in plastic tubs. It can come through a whole house full that's in a garage. I've done it all.
Okay. All right. And that's helped us out a lot, because you know, I have some understanding. I mean, I can kind of tell a really beautiful piece, but many times Julia put what I thought was a beautiful piece in the cheap pile. So apparently I was completely wrong about what was valuable. I didn't know, so which is fine. Okay, so some of the other things is so are you involved in appraisals in other circumstances, like do you do divorce? Do you deal with divorce issues?
I do work with some divorce attorneys whenever there's a property dispute issue, because the state of Florida, all marital assets that are you know, purchased while married, all assets have to be split and divided. And of course, you hope that this doesn't happen, but there's always that case that the husband wants the full value of the jewelry or the full half of the retail value, which of course is unrealistic. Especially if they've been married for 10 to 15 years, they purchased it, you know, at a mall, and then of course you're trying to sell it. Good luck having a pawn shop give you the full value that you paid $30,000 for the ring or jewelry that you give her. And the same thing with the wife. If she has to give it, she wants she has to want the liquidation value. So I come in and try to kind of
find the balance
and you know explain the reality of how this needs to actually go, and help them resolve it in that situation. And I have gone through mediations and having to be the expert witness also for items, because maybe the husband claims that he gave his wife a real diamond or a real necklace that had a diamond, and then found out it was all paste and not real jewelry, and it was all CZs. And this is also not always a good thing, but I'm the one that has to unfortunately tell and break that horrible news. Yes.
Okay, and so before we did our video, you mentioned that you do. I didn't know you did this. So you do loose stones. So what does that mean exactly?
I do loose stones. There are people that collect stones that are not set in jewelry. There's also a lot of military people that have gone to Afghanistan, and of course even the older ones that have gone to Vietnam, who end up buying loose stones, because in those countries there's a lot of minerals, and they think it's a good investment. So they buy the loose stones, and then they send it home to be set in jewelry, or their wives, or they just end up collecting them. Most of them, what happens is they'll have bags of loose stones. So I do offer to, sort them out and offer them a value or purchase them. A lot of the military people that I've helped are in financial need, so this is another option for them to get money, and I give them the full value of all the colored stones, not just diamonds. And a lot of times you get rubies, emeralds, tourmalines. So this is something most people don't know.
That's cool. Okay, so let's see. Julia, tell everybody how they can find you.
Well, you can find me at jmappraisallab.com is my website. Okay. I'm located in Winter Park at 1079 West Morris Avenue. The best way to contact me is through my phone number at 407-729-8802.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much for spending the time.
All right.
And I'm so glad to have Julia as a resource, because I know I never have to worry about getting jewelry appraised or valued. We've called her, and she's come to us at every possible location, from safe deposit boxes to the client's home to some nasty garage to you name it. And she's used to all this stuff. So call Julia, you guys, if you need help. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.